Morning, everyone. See all our usual folks. Thanks for tuning in. Morning, Michelle Allen. Joyce, did we get the house? I'll talk about that.
Remember, you can purchase all of Dr. Morgan's products at her website at www.drjudymorgan.com. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Breakfast with Spaniels.
And I put that on don't repeat, and it repeats. Yeah, whatever. You know what? Technology. It's lovely. So snowy Northern Illinois. That's horrible. For those of you, for the supporters who were tuned in on Sunday night, you know that we have our house under contract for sale, and we found a house in North Carolina that we liked, but houses are selling so fast down there because we're building a house, but we haven't even broken ground. It's going to be, close to a year before we have a house to live in. So we thought in the meantime, we wanted to sell up here while the market is good. So we thought, well, we'll buy a small house in between where we can just park us and our stuff and our animals. We can't rent because of too many animals. Can't live in the motorhome because of too many people and animals. So we thought, well, we'll just buy a small house and park ourselves there and then just resell it because the lower priced houses are selling like hotcakes. So after, a lot of searching, we found the perfect house. 6 minutes from the farm, 15 minutes from Gwen and Brandon. And we thought that's the perfect place to park us. Had a fenced yard, a garage to store our stuff, 3 bedrooms. We were just like, oh, this is perfect. Well, the realtor said, you're going to have to come in high and strong with your offer. So we said, okay, cash deal. We went in $6,000 over offering. We gave $5,000 in earnest money up front. So many people wanted to see that house. It was on the market for less than 48 hours. They scheduled showings every 15 minutes. You had a 15-minute window that you could get in and get out. So Gwen and Brandon were nice enough to fly over there at the last minute. And our realtor was great and got everything lined up, had the contract all ready. We signed it by DocuSign. They had 18 offers and we did not get the house. Now, I don't know what they finally got, but going in $6,000 over asking with $5,000 up front seemed, and a cash deal, no banks, nothing involved, no contingencies, nothing. I don't know what kind of offer they got, but oh my gosh. So no, we did not get it. Did not get it. So now we have our house sold and nowhere to go. It is a seller's market. It's a scary thing right now. So we are heading down on Friday with the intent of helping Gwen and Brandon with the whole cyber sale weekend thing, Black Friday through Tuesday, Giving Tuesday. Our goal is to help them in the warehouse and with shipping, but we also have to find a house. We have a couple of days to find a house. So, it'll work out. We've put this in higher hands than ours. And, for whatever reason, that house was not meant to be for us. So there's another one out there. Bo for the win. Bo with 5 dogs, 3 people. I don't think so. Not for long term. Maybe Bo for a week or 2. But past that, we can park Nanny at Gwen's house for a couple of weeks, but past that, that's overstaying our welcome. Anyway, supporters, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're going to have a special, something with a special, you'll want to be there. Tune into supporters tomorrow night. I'll post the link. Okay. There's another conversation going on over here, but I haven't been able to follow it. So, you're west of Raleigh. We need to be on the east side. The problem is we have to be within a short distance of our farm because the animals are going to be there and we have to go take care of them twice a day. So if we find something that's a half hour away, That's 2 hours of driving every day. We're going to put 1 million miles in our car and a lot of time on us, and that's a lot. So we need to be pretty close to the farm. We don't want to be more than about 20 minutes from the farm, so which is in Wendell. Okay, so somebody sent me an email and asked if I would talk about recurrent urinary tract infections. Yeah, we're dealing with it at our house too. Shayna will talk about it. So the problem with urinary tract infections is you really want to nip them in the bud early on. And there's a lot of dogs that don't, or cats that don't give you any warning. We see dogs with struvite bladder stones that the owners had no clue that the dog had stones. In order to make struvite bladder stones, they have to have had a urinary tract infection for a long time. We're talking months and months. And so when we see a dog that we take an x-ray and see stones in there, and the owners aren't even aware that the dog has had an infection, that means we're way behind where we needed to be. So that's one of the problems that we see, that the animals just are not giving us a heads up. I will tell you, when the snow hits the ground here in New Jersey, that's when we get the most urinary tract infections. It happens to be the water season, so that for the water element. So sometimes, particularly with cats, we get more urinary blockages in cats in February than any other time. And, it doesn't seem like it should be something seasonal, but when you know Chinese medicine, you understand why it's seasonal, because that's the water element. But for the dogs, commonly people see bloody pink urine in the snow and they go, I had no idea there was something going on. So, part of it is getting urines run, or getting dipsticks and running urines yourself to see if there's blood in the urine, because sometimes it's there and they're not giving you a clue. So Shayna is on round, 20 of a urinary tract infection, and her only symptom is she leaks more than usual. So one, you have to know that you have a problem. So that's why it's so important when you go in for that annual checkup for the younger animals that you get blood work done and include a urinalysis with that. For the older animals, you need to do it at least a couple times a year. If you have an animal with a history of urinary tract infections, I'd be doing it pretty often. And that's why getting some dipsticks and checking at home makes a lot of sense. If you have an animal with chronic problems, so you can keep track of the pH, you can see whether the dipstick is showing red blood cells, white blood cells. Is there a problem going on that maybe the animal isn't telling you about? So we have that FitPet urine dipstick with an app on your phone that's in the web store, or you can just buy urine dipsticks and read them yourself without the phone app. So you need to be checking. And the other thing that you need to look at is, does your animal have an anatomical problem that might be contributing to chronic infections? For instance, females, where their little girly parts, their vulva, is tucked up into folds. So we see that in obese animals, but we also see it in animals that were spayed really early. If it's tucked up in there, they're going to get yeast infections around it, which means they're going to have their nose down there licking a lot more. You'll see brown staining in the area. For the males, if you've got males who are pleasuring themselves, I don't know how else to put that, so they're licking a lot down there, they're going to be more prone to infection as well. So we need to look at, do we need to change the anatomy? You can do surgery if the vulva is really tucked up in there. Is the animal obese? That's going to lead to, we see a lot of cats, especially female cats, who are obese, and everything is so folded in back there. It's just a chronic skin infection. And guess what? It's a very short jump from that chronic skin infection in the area, because they're just too fat to bend themselves around and clean that area. So if you have an animal with chronic urinary tract infections, things that you can do, cranberry, the active chemicals in cranberries actually prevent adhesion of bacteria to the bladder wall, particularly E. coli. We've got great studies on that. Cranberry products that are on the market, be careful with which ones you use. Use a high quality cranberry powder if that's what you're doing, because it has to have the active principles still in there and not have been baked out. So cranberry can be very good for Gwen's big dog, 80-pound dog, Mila. When she was having chronic UTIs, she got a quarter cup of ground cranberries twice a day in her food. It really helped. The other thing that you want to use is a glucosamine chondroitin product. We talked about that with PJ Broadfoot during our summit, how deer antler velvet and green lip mussel, the natural chondroitin glucosamine in those does help decrease inflammation in the bladder wall. So that will help with bladder wall health and producing a good barrier to the bacteria getting embedded in there. The other thing that we see is if you have a tumor or a polyp in the bladder, if you have a dog with chronic UTIs, I would get an abdominal ultrasound. Look at what the lining of the bladder looks like. Look at the urethra, see if there's any masses or polyps in there. Look at the ureters, look at the kidneys. Are there any small stones that are causing partial obstruction or causing chronic irritation that may be contributing to that chronic infection? We need to do a culture and sensitivity. We need to know what bacteria it is. That's our problem with Shayna. Her culture showed that she's got MRSA in her bladder. She's got 2 or 3 different really resistant bacteria in there. She's only sensitive to 2 antibiotics, and they are not friendly ones. So you need to know what you're dealing with. And if you get a culture one time and it shows that you have this nasty bacteria, after you finish the antibiotics, about a week later, you've got to do another culture. 10 days later, you've got to do another culture. You got to make sure you got it cleared, because a lot of times what's happening is, this is an expensive problem, guys, because you got to keep repeating cultures. You got to keep repeating urinalysis, but you need to know that you cleared it up. Once you have it cleared, because what happens a lot of times, we give an antibiotic, the symptoms decrease, and we go, okay, good, that's done. And then a month later, and this is what happened with Shayna, and we had to stop her antibiotic because of side effects. And here we are a month later, all the symptoms are back. She's leaking urine wherever she sits, wherever she lies down. We've got a problem. So now we've got to go through the antibiotic again and hope that we can get through a full course without the side effects. But if you have one culture and the problem seems to go away and it comes back, you've got to culture again and make sure you're still dealing with the same bacteria. Because a lot of times what happens is now they become resistant to the antibiotic that you used before. So you go back to the same antibiotic and you go, well, it's not clearing up. Well, that's because now you've got something that's more resistant to what you used before. And this is why you don't want to willy-nilly use antibiotics. You will build bacterial resistance. And it is an expensive problem, but you either are going to have your dog living on antibiotics repeatedly, which is going to cause gut health issues, immune system issues. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I feel your pain now because I don't have my own practice anymore. But that's, can you feed too much cranberry? No. I mean, they're high in fiber, so you could either get diarrhea or constipation with excess. Lots of water drinking and peeing could be a UTI, but a lot of times urinary tract infections do not cause excessive drinking, just excessive peeing because of the pain. So they're straining more. But some dogs don't even do that. So excessive drinking says to me more that there is inflammation and internal heat somewhere. Could be in the bladder, but could also be in the kidneys, could be in the liver, could be something else. So okay, your top shelf of your freezer is full of frozen cranberries. Anyone that opens the door would think you're a hoarder. Well, we've got a bunch in there too. And I don't think we're having a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, so I'm not even sure we're going to pull any out to use for Thanksgiving for us. So, Okay, cooked cranberries, fresh or frozen, as long as they're ground. You can cook them if you want to. That just makes them a little more bioavailable, but either way. So we need the cranberries. We need glucosamine chondroitin for bladder wall health. You can use D-mannose, which is, again, an anti-inflammatory. It's a sugar variant, but it's a anti-inflammatory and also helps improve bladder wall health, and it's antibacterial. So some people will use apple cider vinegar to acidify the urine. You just need to know where your urine pH and what's going on there. Okay, I've got a ton of work to do. I've got a consultation. I've got articles to write, the usual. Let's see if I can probably get music. There we go. All right, so I will post for supporters, but then starting Friday, we are doing a Cyber Weekend sale. Yeah, Shayna's leaking urine like a sieve and she smells horrible. Get in the bath every couple of days. Got to do that today. Again. Poor dog, she's always wet. I think I got to shave more hair off the back end too. And that's the other thing. If you have dogs, chronic urinary infections, if they're long-haired, keep everything trimmed back there. Keep everything as clean as possible. Blueberries, strawberries, and bananas. We don't have any fresh fruit in our house right now. Lisa Rudbergen, you are right, and that's what we're saying. It'll be tomorrow evening, Lily. Probably 6:30 or 7. Sorry we weren't on yesterday. The day got away from us. That happens. That happens. All right. Have a great day.